KB in the bay going crazy. Put peace on the hood, Mercedes. Young boys letting off 80. Leaning next to a DR like Haiti. This ain't no point on no Bailey. No internet clown gon' play me. Money ain't never gon' make me. I can win with a couple bucks like Brady. HGA baby, you cannot shame me. What they gon' pay me to shut my mouth? Ain't gotta okay me, then they gon' save me. I'm finna stay free on the house.
Is there anything you did? I know you said, it was God's grace, but what were some of the things that you did and what we could do to help us? How do we collaborate with God so that we don't let grief get to the best of us, or we don't let loss get to the best of us? Yeah.
Proactively surround yourself with people that you know and trust, and give them permission to say the hard things to you and to take care of your needs. So one of the best decisions that I ever made was moving into a community and a neighborhood where, the three other pastors at our church, who were, some of my best friends in the world, so many people from our church lived here in the West End. One of the best things that I did was move into a community where I was surrounded by so many people, where at the drop of a dime, in a matter of seconds, right, people could be at my crib. And that to me was, I did it for more missional reasons, right? Like, we're going to move in here and God's going to use us to help change a community. But I actually saw like that was the way that God sustained me, by making sure when I was at my lowest, I was constantly surrounded by people. And that's what I think is the most important thing for folks to do, because everybody's going to have problems that your greatest strength can't solve, right? Everybody with money is going to find themselves finding a problem that money can't solve. Anybody with beauty is going to find themselves facing a problem that beauty can't solve. We're all going to find ourselves with problems that are too heavy for us to lift. And I've learned that life is so much more about recovery than it is avoiding problems, right? It's not how many problems can you steer clear of. It's no. How many problems can you recover from? And our recovery is really in large part based on the people we surround ourselves by.
Yeah, that's so good. And I definitely wanted to talk to you about community and friendship. I know for me, in my journey, I would not be here today, like literally would not be here today if I didn't have the people that God had put in my life. Life touches all of us. And sometimes, I'll be honest, there are seasons and there were moments where I felt like, this is it for me. This is it for my faith. This is it for life. I'm just going to totally rebel and go off the handles because there's nothing else that seems logical to do. But it wasn't. That didn't happen because I had friends come in and tell me the truth, that walked with me, that loved on me. There's a quote I want to read that you had in the book that really blessed me and ministered to me, because you talk about how Jesus lays an example for us about how life with community is essential, but at the very same time, we see how community and relationships fail Jesus in his most vulnerable of moments.
Right.
And I think sometimes, we have a hard time. I think our generation struggles. I think we need more books on friendship. We have all these marriage conferences. We have all these missional conferences. I've never seen a friendship conference. And I struggle. Like, I've actually in the last year been convicted about forming a theology around friendship. And like 2 of the 3 books I found were written by people who had to write about it because they were same-sex attracted, who gave themselves to celibacy and the church. And they're like, friendship is the best I can do with my situation. And so I'm running low on resources on friendship. But I just feel like we struggle in our generation. We don't know how to build deep, intimate bonds with one another anymore. And I think sometimes what steers us off of that path or off of that journey to building and establishing healthy, deep, meaningful relationships is just hurt. People fail us. People don't show up for us. And you do a great job of talking about how that is the reality of friendship, that doesn't mean that they can't be there for you or they don't love you. And you said this, you said relationships doesn't solve all of our problems, but it does guard us against one of their most devastating effects. And just this reality that friends aren't supposed to be your savior. They're not supposed to change life for you or your circumstance. They will fail you. They will fall short, but their presence is instrumental because they are safeguards against some of these effects. And so can you speak on that a little bit? Like even having healthy expectations for what a friend is supposed to be and how they're supposed to move in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. So much of life is that it's the battle of expectations, right?
Yeah.
And there is an aspect where, friendships are just like everything else in this life, right? Nothing in life is going to be everything at all that we hoped that it would be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And once we get that, we stop lamenting life or friendship or fill in the blank because it doesn't meet our expectations.
Yeah.
And we start to enjoy it for what it is, right? So friendships are that, just a great tool, a great add-on, a great additive, something necessary and vital that God has provided for us to be able to make it through life.
Yeah.
But it's not, like you said, our savior. And when you do see friendships wrongly ordered, they either become, codependent, where somebody feels like I can't live without them, or they become exploitive, where people use somebody else's affection for them, only for them. And and you start to see something that is an incredible gift, like any other gift, can be a weapon of mass destruction, right?
Yeah.
So, so from that standpoint, we have to change and adjust even how we think of, friendship, its goal, its function, the criteria, what makes for a good friend, right? We can often be shallow in our friendships and only make deep friendships along affinity and things that we like and sense of humor, when in the ultimate landscape of thing, the most important thing that a friend does is not laugh at your jokes, right? The most important thing that a friend does is help you to recover from life's ills, right? And so if we had a deeper view of friendship, I think we would have deeper and better friends, right?
Yeah.
And we'd be better friends.
Yeah. I think about David and Jonathan, who made a covenant with each other.
Yeah.
And that always fascinated me because you only see covenants being made in a marriage.
Right.
And I often joke with our congregation, can you imagine if we had a ceremony for friendships? And we had two friends walking down the aisle to the altar and they were saying their I do's, for better, for worse, like I'm committed to you, and it's like an extreme picture. But really, I think that, to your point, we just don't need friends that make us laugh, but we're going to be there, that don't jump ship, that will walk with us through the toughest of situations.
This isn't real life. I got a real life. Price is better and it ain't no doubt. I ain't got time to debate. There's countries to save. Afghanistan, Cuba, I pray.